Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Okay, we got breaking news here. It's October 11, 2022. It's a Tuesday. Hi, Suze.
Hi.
Yeah, so Reuters is reporting that the U.S. Supreme Court has declined to decide whether fetuses are entitled to constitutional rights. Yeah, well, they actually, astonishingly, I guess they're going to leave that for next year. They did it in a case. They turned away an appeal by a Catholic group in which a lower court ruled that fetuses lacked legal standing. Oh, my God.
Which, by the way, is true.
Yeah,
except when it's granted in homicide statutes if a pregnant woman is killed.
Well, that's right. So Justice Samuel Alito said, this was in his when he wrote the Roe decision. I mean the repeal.
Yeah.
He said that at that time that the court took no position on if and when prenatal life is entitled to any of the rights enjoyed after birth. But I don't know. So I think it's interesting that they passed on this. They've got so many other things that are outraging everybody that I guess maybe they thought leave it alone for a while.
I think that's exactly what they thought. I think they thought, whoa, we stepped in it enough that first time. Let's give them a chance to breathe because we're going to do a whole bunch more.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Okay. Well, supposedly, I guess that's good news or bad news deferred. Something to that effect. Did you do this rant on the show or just to me about, it wasn't a rant so much as an appreciation of the newest justice, Ketanji Brown-Jackson, who has been very active in oral arguments and how she schooled the conservatives on the court in the meaning of the 14th Amendment and originalism. Did you?
Yeah. We were discussing it. I don't know that I could anyway replicate what I said. I had clearly read about it. But yes, I mean, what she did is reduce their argument to the nonsense that it is.
Yeah.
And the point,
the original intent was racial.
That you can't have the 14th Amendment without a racist intent.
Without race being involved. Not without
having race as an issue, because that's the point.
Yeah, it was about the slaves. They were black. Hello? And I guess whatever, but she did apparently, and it's been noted by others.
Well, she's just very good at the method. She just kept questioning until inevitably you bring yourself down to the correct answer.
Man, I read something when I woke up that got my head so bobbled. There's no word for it. It's just totally blah, 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 where I was made to feel like my brain was incapable. And of course, it was a science thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, good God. And about black holes and quantum physics and stuff like that. Why I was reading it, I can't imagine. But it looked like it was something I should take a shot at. And good God in heaven. But it did say, there was one thing I pulled out of it. Okay. Essentially, these scientists are arguing that we are probably akin to holograms.
Okay. That we don't actually exist?
Well, we could. We may not. We can be not existing and existing at the same time. It gets into that kind of stuff that is so mind blowing.
Okay, it's beyond me, because I sure feel like I exist and am in a relationship right now with you, who I do believe actually also exists, and I do believe we're interacting.
Well, I know, Suze, but hey, finer minds than ours say.
I know, it makes my head hurt too.
I know. There's a possibility that our three-dimensional universe, including ourselves, may essentially be holograms. I'm just saying. It's right here in the New York Times.
I'd rather talk about how Gina Davis looks fondly upon her marriage to Jeff Goldblum, if you want to know the truth.
Oh, no. Really?
No. Well, it just doesn't make my head hurt.
Okay. Well, I'm glad she does.
That's sort of how I felt about it.
They're both
That's
nice people. I don't know.
They're nice people, and she said it was a joyful time.
My God, if they'd had children, the kids would be
14 feet tall.
Yeah, because she's, I think, over 6 feet. And God knows he is. He was about 6'4", maybe. I don't know. Big, tall people and bright people. So, well, I'm just saying, if you're, okay. Here, back up. I learned a word.
I think that this is why they talk about that stuff and discuss quantum physics in symbols, in numbers, and as math problems, because to discuss it any other way does make your mind boggle. And clearly, my imagination is not sufficient to take that in without pure panic being not close behind.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to read this. I can't believe I read this. I mean, there's guys. I didn't want to see the wonderful 2-hour episode of Ken Burns either, but you made Mom and me watch it. Yeah, and that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
It was good. So I learned a new word. And I learned it from that part of the Sunday New York Times I like so much, that Metropolitan Diary, where people send in little stories of things that happened to them walking around the streets of New York. So I'll share this one with you. My friend Barbara and I were walking on 55th Street toward Lexington Avenue. It was a hot, muggy, gray afternoon in late August. A gust of wind kicked up suddenly, tossing bits of tattered papers, leaves, and other debris in our direction. And then the rain started. Big drops at first, then a steady cascade. It smells like soot with a mix of Chinese noodles, I said, as we rushed along. Weird. Only in Manhattan. Right, Barbara said. Rain does smell. Just then, the man who was walking ahead of us turned around. It's called petrichor, he said, and then he just kept going. The smell of rain. There's a word for it. It's called petrichor.
I thought it was ozone.
No, it's petrichor. I looked it up.
I'm looking it up right now.
Petrichor. Petrichor. Which is that sort of earthy,
a pleasant smell that frequently accompanies the first rain after a long period of warm, dry weather. Other than the petrichor emanating from the rapidly drying grass, there was not a trace of evidence that it had rained at all. That's the quote.
Who ever heard of it? Petrichor. And I still don't know that rain smells. It's the earth that is wet, moistened by the rain, that gives off the smell. It's not the rain, is it?
Well, I always could. There is frequently a smell in the air right before, and I always thought that was just sort of ozone.
No. Well, it might be, but I mean, technically, who the hell knows? Do you realize how much shit we don't know? We mere holograms.
Well, yeah. Well, that could explain it.
Yeah.
Well, here it says petrichor is the earthy scent produced when rain falls on dry soil. So what you're arguing is, well, that's not the rain, that's the soil.
The soil.
Yeah.
But who the hell knows? Anyway.
It's the smell of the stew that ensues.
Something like that. I like the woman saying it smells like soot mixed with Chinese noodles.
Yeah, which isn't petrichor particularly. Unless that's dirt and a positive association too. I don't know.
Oh, so Susan, yesterday, and I have to tell the audience this. So yesterday I had Mark Rylance.
Oh yeah,
and his wife, who's directing this amazing opera here. His wife, Claire Van Kampen, and he was so. It's just mind blowing how interested he is in history, and specifically any history, I'm sure, but because he has spent some time here, he knows more about Pittsburgh history than most Pittsburghers. This is a Brit. But here's the other odd thing I found out about him. You won't believe this. He graduated from high school in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
You're kidding.
No! And he spent his, from the age of 7 to 18, living in Milwaukee. I said, well, it's a good thing you didn't pick up that accent. And he refused to jump on the Wisconsin accent. I found interesting, but his father was a teacher of Shakespeare at a university, the university school there. I don't know what university it's attached to. Anyway, so that was odd, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then Milton, one of our listeners, and a man I consider a friend, was so taken by it that he went looking around and found this marvelous, just extemporaneous speech that Mark Rylance gave about 5 years ago at an event here in Pittsburgh, in Homestead. And it's on YouTube, and it's so good that I posted it on the Facebook page. Okay, I didn't. Kevin did, because I don't even.
You wouldn't know how to do that, right?
Yeah, that kind of stubborn ignorance of how to do things is a way of not having to do things, and it's what I always kept. Like our father. I have other couples that I can point to. One of the members simply being incapable of doing, especially things in the kitchen. And so that is because they can't, they must be
waited on. And believe me, as a young lawyer in the 70s, it's why I was a notoriously bad typist, lest I become the secretary to the men.
Well, I was the secretary to the men.
Yeah, well, I was the attorney.
And the secretary to the men also, of course, yes, had to get them their coffee and make the coffee and stuff. And anyway, we're off subject. But I just wanted to alert people that this just sort of extemporaneous, it shows how bright he is, how interested he is in, and it is specifically about, Frick and homestead and some of what we were talking about with him yesterday. So just so as you know.
Well, it just shows that if you keep a curious mind and continue to feed it, you just become a marvelously more interesting person.
God, yeah, boy, that guy and his wife, they both seem just so extraordinarily bright and interesting and good folks. He got knighted, I guess, by Queen Elizabeth about 6 years ago. So technically, he isn't Lord, he's Sir, but she's Lady. She's Lady. How did that happen? Lady.
Well, either it's just automatic when you're married to a lord, then you're a lady.
But I don't think being a Sir is a lord. Oh, who cares? I don't know. And I'm sure he doesn't care, nor does she. Whatever. I read the most disgusting thing I've ever read the other day. Probably that's a bit of an exaggeration.
Well, it's certainly one hell of a segue.
Yes, but it is, oh my God. It was in, again, the New York Times. And it included two pictures of very happy looking people holding, maybe you saw this, holding framed things of pictures. And then if you read the article, you find out what's in those frames. And that's where turns out it's a thing where if somebody dies and the people who love them just can't bear them quite being gone, you can have their tattoos.
Oh, no.
Yes! At first I thought, oh, you mean you just take a picture of the tattoo?
No, they're taking the skin off. Yeah, I mean, this is like shades of Auschwitz. Oh, my God.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. They're skinning their own loved ones. I mean, imagine, there's some people like a whole arm. They got the whole arm.
They took the whole sleeve. Oh, it's disgusting.
Well, it says that if you want the whole body, like some people have, that would cost $120,000 to literally skin your loved one. And then it goes through this process. Takes about 4 months to preserve it and then stick it in the kind of container that is pumped with nitrogen to keep it preserved with the UV blocking glass on top of it. And oh my God, I can't believe this. This is taking off. No pun intended. The National Funeral Directors Association says that this is not unusual anymore to be asked to perform this service. Now, to perform it, you have to order this kit from this very specific company in Ohio that dreamt this all up. It's a father and son mortuary team, and they're looking very smug here next to all of this. I mean, is not that?
No,
I mean,
no.
No,
because I mean, one of the things that traumatized me most as a child was what they were doing with Jews' skin in the Holocaust.
Yeah,
and I mean, so to me, and it's a total abomination.
Well, our religion, we come from a religious tradition in which any
a tattoo isn't
throwing
allowed.
Around. Even a tattoo is not allowed. You are not to desecrate your body, and the body of the dead are to be treated with extraordinary care. I mean, extraordinary care. And the idea that you would cut part of that body off is just mind-blowing. So they have quotes from people here's a woman whose husband died, and her kid said, "Mom, you gotta get Dad's," and she said, "Oh my God, that's morbid. How could you cut something off someone?" But her kids persisted. And they asked her, I'm just going to quote here, they asked her to imagine how special it would be to have the black and white skull tattoo that has a ribbon with their names on it preserved. So she agreed. And she now says she cannot be more grateful that she had listened to her daughters, because now that black and white skull tattoo with the ribbon and the names that used to be on her husband's arm is now hanging in her living room.
I'm going to throw up. I really, it's nauseating.
I'm just saying. Well, another thing that has happened, apparently of late, is people are hanging on. People, there used to be, I'm thinking mostly in like Victorian times, and I'm sure before that as well.
Well, there was always jewelry with hair
and hold
stuff,
on to hair and stuff like that. And
and in the church, there's any number of relics.
And I know, Saint so and so's left
pinky, right?
Yeah, I know. So all of that is grotesque to me, but it turns out that kind of thing is coming back too. People are taking cremains and putting them in sculptures, plexiglass sculptures, so that they're part of some. I don't know. So, I mean, one thing that for somebody is just disgusting, for another, I guess, provides some sense of
comfort. Well, I mean, I felt that way when my husband died, and everybody wanted something that was his, and I mean, like a tie or a sweater, and I was thinking, oh, okay, come have at it, because to me, that didn't make any sense at all. That was just a symbol of his absence, not a remembrance of his presence. And I mean, I assume that's just me. Objects don't do that for me.
Well, I did.
You took a sweater, and
I took a sweater, and I loved wearing it because it felt like he was surrounding me.
Yeah,
when I had it on.
I know.
So it is whatever. Yeah. So we're all different in that way. But I'm sorry, skinning your dead loved one and hanging that in your living room is. I just can't.
It's to the disgusting side of bizarre.
It says that this is just taking off, and the laws that are about funerals in the states. There's only one state that says you can't do this, and that's Washington State. All other states say you go ahead. You want to skin that loved one alive, you go right ahead. And obviously the mortuaries like it because it's
another service that they can charge all sorts of money. Now your typical $10,000 wedding can be a $20,000 wedding.
You said wedding.
No, funeral.
Well, a little Freudian slip there, Suze.
I don't know, but what's the slip mean?
I that's a slip I make. I sometimes say funeral for wedding, and I don't. I think it's every bit a Freudian slip. I mean, it shows that whatever.
Yeah, that a wedding isn't anything you would is
that you wouldn't want to do. Yeah. So here, the small. Just one more thing. The cost for the smallest thing, like, you're just preserving that one little 5-inch by 5-inch part with the little tattoo on it. That is $1,700. Just that. But and as I said, if you want to skin the whole person, it's well over 100,000. So I know it's not for me to spend your money, but
well, and Freudian slip aside, funerals, even the cheapest of them, are expensive.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, these rites of life. It's not like anybody can avoid it.
Well, you can make it less expensive. I've never understood blowing a lot of money on a wedding. I've never understood that. You know, young people starting out, God, they got a lot of things they're going to have to do, and blowing it on crapola for one day is nonsense. I never understood it. But for some people, that's what's important to them, I guess.
Yeah.
Beyond me. Just beyond me. So, what else we got? My God. Oh, I came on a nice quote. This is from the head of the Promise Keepers, one of those fine groups that are
right. They're all keeping something, promises or oaths.
Yes,
right.
Yes, they are, and you know they're very Christian and very white. And here is a direct quote. We have taught a Jesus that's an idol. That's not the real Jesus. We have taught a Jesus that says to love means being nice to everybody. Jesus wasn't very nice. He wasn't very nice most of the time. What the? What? I'm just, huh? And all these good Christians are just standing there letting all the evangelicals further embrace of Herschel Walker. Well, that brought me to some other thing. Here sums up the Republican values around abortion. Okay, I've got it right here. Abortion should be illegal except where needed to save the political life of the father.
Right. Exactly right.
Oh my God.
That's right.
Isn't that it? Jesus Christ. Well, these people are frightening. I mean, front page today about New York Times, nothing that we don't know here about Mastriano's anti-Semitism. They even quote a good friend of mine who's an Orthodox Jew who I know. And they say in the piece he voted for Donald Trump twice. And even Charlie Saul can't get himself to vote for Doug Mastriano. Good God.
Well, thank God for small favors.
Oz, Charlie's going to vote for Oz, but no, Mastriano is just a bridge too far. If he gets a handful of Jewish votes, it'll be astonishing. So, Mastriano full on. The thing is that I'm noticing now is it's just full on. There's no dog whistles anymore. These guys now are just flat out.
They're just flat out saying it. That's right.
That Tuberville senator, what he said, just clearly equating. He's talking about criminals who will kill you, dead in your bed.
Yeah, reparations. They want to be paid for robbing you.
Right, because it was understood that when he's talking about criminals, he's talking about black people.
Right.
There was no getting from, wait, I thought we were talking about crime. Yeah, we are black people.
Right. They want the ones that want reparations.
They not only they're going to kill you, rob you, this, that, and the other thing, and then they want reparations. and the crowd goes berserk. We are right back. I don't, Jesus, God in heaven. Just saying. And did you see Tulsi Gabbard? Remember her?
Yes. The quote Democrat, unquote.
The quote Democrat. The weirdo. Yeah. Who seemed to be taking all her talking points
from
for
Trump.
Years and years. Not from Trump, from the Russians. Well, that's
right.
why you said Trump. Yeah.
Right.
It's the same, just sowing Russian propaganda. Why is everybody so mean to the Russians? She always loved the Russians, and Tulsi now has come out saying she just simply cannot stand it anymore, and she is having to leave the Democratic Party.
No.
Bye! She calls the party an elitist cabal. That's Jews. I'm just saying. An elitist cabal is Jews. Of warmongers, that's Jews, because they always make money on war. Dividing us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's Tulsi. Uh-huh. She's obviously auditioning for a show on Fox, I guess. So, toodaloo. Not surprising. You know, another one who was running to be the presidential nominee for Democrats, because Tulsi was one of them. That's how a lot of people got to know her. She was in that original huge bunch that eventually spat out Joe Biden. But also in that bunch was Andrew Yang. Remember him?
Yeah.
Well, he's done the same kind of thing. He's now saying he's no Democrat, and he's trashing Democrats. I wouldn't say he's a Republican or a Russian robot, but I don't know.
But tent's not big enough for Yang?
No, he's gone. He sees opportunity someplace else.
As a spoiler, yeah, I mean, that's it.
Well, yeah, that would be it. And then there's, of course, Kanye, or excuse me.
I've been waiting for you to say yay, yeah.
Well, yay. I
just think that at some point, yes, I understand that he has mental health issues, but he is publicly threatening people. He's publicly endangering people. And, the latest anti-Semitic, pile of stuff. I mean, he's offending, let's just be clear, he's offending everybody. And
No, he's delighting Republicans.
Well.
Yeah, but Charles Blow,
I liked what he had to say.
Charles Blow said this: I will let others debate whether his talents as an artist, which are remarkable, rise to that of genius. I want to focus instead on him as a cultural chaos agent, as a purveyor of dangerous politics. In this arena, he is no genius. He is a gussied up gimmick. And I want to say that that's what Tulsi Gabbard is. That's what Donald Trump is. These guys understand marketing. They're branding themselves. And the only thing that they don't like is not being paid attention to. They are people who demand our attention. And in as much as we give it to them, as we have, as I am right now, they win. So maybe I'll never say his name again.
Yeah. I was actually deliberately not bringing it up. Because I do begin to feel that way about it. Just starve the beast.
Well, don't worry. The beast won't starve because not everybody is going to, adhere to that.
Right, of course.
You've got to. I feel, is anyone trying to email me? Because I feel like my email, I know I emailed me and I haven't seen it.
Well, why don't you, can I suggest you restart your device?
Oh, gee, you're always saying that. But then I do. All right. Now, what else? Ooh. Am I the only person who never saw Hamilton?
Yes.
I think that's true.
No, I'm sure there are others. I mean, no, I know I'm not the only person that never watched a single, episode of Game of Thrones, for example. So I'm sure there's plenty of people that haven't seen Hamilton, but you should. It's very, very good.
Well, I'm asking. I saw a little teeny bit of it on TV. Oops! Listen to that. But I don't know.
No, well,
and I read so much about it, and then I heard we've got members of our family who can do literally every word, right?
Yes, well, one particular branch.
Yes, my brother's family.
But
every word.
But when my grandson was just a wee thing and could barely talk, he could recite a whole the opening sort of soliloquy.
You know what? Yeah, a lot of people were trying to get in touch with me.
See?
Margaret writes, one of the Rolling Stones snorted his father.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Well, his ashes.
I understand. No.
That's sort of hostile.
Huh. Okay. Gina Davis was just done. Kelly and Ryan, I don't understand. Okay, okay, here's everything. You're right. It just wasn't giving me anything. And we had a caller, and the caller said, "Screw you guys," and hung up. Yeah, stuff was happening. Just saying. I knew something was wrong. Oh,
yeah, you've got to jump to that restart almost immediately when that's happening to you.
Well, I mean, but you don't know. But yeah, I could tell when my own thing didn't come up. So anyway, I bring up Hamilton though because there is what
I was simply going to say that, and it's unfortunate because of the pricing of the thing, that you really need to see it in person because of how you are enveloped by the music and the rhythm and the bass and it is an experiential sort of thing in that way. And simply sitting across a TV, no matter how loud it is, maybe with surround sound, I don't know, but it's just not the same thing.
Yeah.
And I say that even having sat through it only once, but with a Chinese mother and son next to me reciting every single word through the whole thing.
Okay, there. So, but there is this ecstatic review.
Yes.
Of Hamilton in the New York Times today because it has made its German debut.
Wow.
Now imagine, stop and think.
Somebody's translated the rap into German.
Can you imagine?
And it rhymes. I mean, it's really well done.
Rhymes. So how would you do that? How would you take this rap-like dense lyrics and put it in German, which is a totally different kind of language, and it's the reviewer says a lot could have gone wrong, and he said, but it is every bit as electrifying as the one on Broadway, and it even gains unexpected depth from being performed in German. And he says it's a masterpiece of translation. It took two guys 4 years to translate Hamilton to German, with the puns and the rhythms and all that dense verbiage, and Miranda had to sign off.
Right, he had to okay the whole thing.
And,
sure.
And he did. They say it's just mind blowing. And he said, and what's also mind blowing is, what would a German audience give a damn about, John Adams or
because it's just a story so beautiful. It's just a really well told story.
Yeah. And they also said that one of the things German theater has not seen is the colorblind casting that American theaters have been doing for some time, but Hamilton just totally went berserk with. And that is also something that he thinks is blowing the audiences away. And they had to go far afield. It's an international cast, people from 11 countries. Anyway.
Yeah,
I'll just say this: the ability of Hamilton to transcend the specific cultural context of its inception is the ultimate proof that it is a great work of art with universal significance.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess I do have to see it sometime.
You do have to see it, but you do have to see it in person. And to go back to my experience, I want everybody to know that I was very grateful to that woman sitting next to me, because she actually helped me understand every single thing that was going on. It's a lot to, if you don't know what you're listening, a lot of people go in, you're right, having the score memorized, but if you're just sitting there, a virgin, and it takes a whole lot of attention to catch all those words.
Well, I'm thinking, okay. If the callers, what time do we have? I don't know. If any of those people who did call want to try now, I'll get you right in. That's assuming, Kevin, if you just text me, because this friggin' thing, I don't trust it. Okay. Remember, when you were on last time, didn't we talk about how they actually did a census of ants in the world?
Yes, and how many there were.
There were like, wait, because I have it here. It was mind blowing. There were, for each one of us, they figure there are at least 2.5 million ants. For each human on the planet, there are at least 2.5 million ants. And they have an update today.
I'm thinking that's because that's how many ants it takes to clean up after the average human.
Well, yeah, that might be true too. Anyway, they have Dr. Schulteis says the true number of ants is almost certainly higher than the 20 quadrillion that has been estimated. And it's because they really undercount arboreal ants. I guess there was only ants on the ground they were doing, and not ants in the trees.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
And so one of the people who co-authored the study said, "I wouldn't be surprised if it actually turns out to be an order of magnitude higher. We're just scratching the surface." So, whoa, man!
Well, they are clearly integral to the cleaning up of and movement of the planet. I mean, the planet clearly needs ants.
Doesn't need us so much.
No, could use a few bunches less of us.
Yeah, definitely. Too many of us, folks. I also want to point out that, Susan, I started getting these alerts yesterday that it's a beautiful day here, blue sky. But for people living just about 10 miles from here, 8 miles from here, in what we call the Mon Valley, along the Monongahela River, it is a code red day, which means if you breathe the air, you're taking in toxin.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
And I mean, it's hugely toxic. And this is where all those steel mills used to be. And I assume that there's still some. This is Clairton, guys. It's in Clairton and Glassport and Liberty and Portview. And I mean, they flat out, the government puts out these alerts and here's what they say. Sensitive groups must, essentially hunker down.
Right.
Don't go out.
Stay inside.
Don't breathe the air. And you know who the sensitive groups are?
Everybody. The elderly, and believe me, in that region, that's a majority. The elderly and children. Now I'm sorry, if the elderly and children and then people with respiratory conditions and anything else, if you cannot breathe the air and all the government does is warn you about it and then suggest that you not use a leaf blower today to add any particulate matter to the atmosphere, when they allow these mills and industry, and with the recent Supreme Court eviscerating all our environmental standards, clean air, clean water, because corporations should be allowed to poison as many people as they can. That's the capitalist Well, right.
model.
How are you supposed to make money if you can't do that?
Well, I just want to say that this should not be tolerated. And it is.
Well,
it's tolerated.
There was a time in our youth when everything was moving in the positive direction, and all of these, and the river that we lived on that was so disgusting that I had nightmares about it, they started cleaning it up. They started going after these businesses. Now there's fishermen on that river. I mean, and then and that was back in the day when monopolies were illegal. Remember, Ma Bell got broken up.
Yeah, well,
you remember all these things.
Yeah.
We are back to the policies that created the backlash that started that. We're worse.
Well, because the Republicans just can't take it. They just can't tolerate it.
They've dismantled just about everything that was put in place after the Depression.
And that's why they wanted the Supreme Court. That's why the courts are important to them, because the courts, as we're now seeing, can dismantle literally the New Deal.
Yep.
They can go that far back. They can dismantle every program that has been embraced by most Americans. Don't get too comfortable there with certain rights that you thought you had, as women have now found out. But no, they're eviscerating the Voting Rights Act. They're eviscerating they've really done in the Voting Rights Act. Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act. We thought we were making progress. These are all the things the Democratic administrations did from the 30s on. And the Republicans intend
what is
to
did can be
dismantle. Yeah, intend to dismantle it all.
Well, all of which is to say that this stupid little midterm coming up here is probably one of the most important elections of our lifetime, next to the last election.
Well, every election from now on will be the most important. Yeah,
because we got to fight these folks off.
And I want to point out that Oz that Oz Fetterman is considered a toss-up now. I believe in Wisconsin, Ron Johnson is
even
looking even like he's going to win. Guys, it's frightening. I don't know what else to tell you. I guess it could be that you have to be as totally awful as like a Mastriano not to win. And maybe even he'll win.
Yeah.
But you can be an Oz, you can be a Ron Johnson, you can be Herschel Walker.
You could be Herschel Walker.
And that fine, upstanding nincompoop. Can you imagine that? First of all, I just want to say the implicit racism of Republicans countering a Democratic black candidate with Herschel Walker. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, let's take the race card out of it. Let's put our black guy up. And their black guy is, well, we see who he is.
Right.
And he is sort of the way Republicans look at black men. Of course, he's making babies left, right, and center. Of course, he can't string a sentence together. Of course, he's just going to be our puppet. Of course, he can run a football, I'll tell you that. Of course, he's a black guy. The very fact that Herschel Walker is the guy they chose is representative of their just constant racism. Oh, God. So, if he wins, I'll tell you, it's over.
Well, no. If he, No. If he wins, I think what's going to happen is that Warnock's going to win and Stacey Abrams is going to lose. That's what's going to happen.
Yes, Stacey Abrams is going to lose.
And that's because she's a woman.
Win. Well, that could be. But I used to think somewhat blithely that Democrats were going to hold the Senate. I'm not thinking that anymore. But the fact is, I don't know. And you can read every story that the press spits out at us and, become just frantic. Or you can do what inevitably we have to do, which is wait. People are going to vote, and we ain't going to know the outcome. And then even if there is an outcome that the Republicans don't like because not enough win, there'll be trouble. Right?
Right.
No, we're in a very, very scary place. And I don't know how much longer I can continue to repeat myself because a bird just hit my, he just glanced off it.
Did he just shake his head and go on?
Yeah, he said, damn. He even hit the little decal thing I have telling him it's a window. Okay. I just don't think I can anymore. Are we almost done?
I don't know. You're doing a lot of talking, and I'm being very little help, but I'm not getting a word in edgewise. Sorry.
What do you mean you're not getting a word in? Go ahead. Get a word in.
I have absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Not getting a word in edgewise. Jeez. Well, see, my problem is I have all these different none of my things agree on what time it is. How is that possible? I thought.
Yeah, my device says it's 9:55.
Okay, so we've got 5 minutes. Okay.
Yep.
What can we do in 5 minutes? Well,
I watched Dancing with the Stars last night. Boy, is that boring.
I would not admit that, Susan.
It's on Disney Plus. I had to stream it even.
I tell you what I watch. I forgot that I had. You know what happens to me? I watch something, and then I can't find it. I forget about it because I can't remember where I watched it.
Right.
Is it on Hulu?
We're on Prime or on Netflix.
So you don't know. And I'll be damned if I'm going to go to every. I've got to start making lists if you want to continue to watch. So I happened upon something I had watched part of, and then last night, and watched 2 more. Oh my God, that's brutal. But I'm going to finish it up. It's the one. It's called The Patient. Have you heard of it?
No.
It stars Steve Carell.
Oh, yeah, I have heard of it. Oh, no, it's one of those scary kidnapped thing.
Well, he plays a therapist kidnapped by a serial killer.
His patient, right.
His patient. And who demands that he keep him from killing again. And it is, oh my God. But I think it's really well done. Just saying. And I'm not sure. I think I only have maybe one more to watch. That's the other thing. You don't even know what you're signing up for. But I think it's 6 or 7 or 8 episodes. I can't remember. But I think that's a good idea. I have to keep a notebook by where I watch TV.
This is the sign that you're getting old if you start leaving yourself notes.
I've been leaving myself notes for years. I got a note right here. It says pond guys, fence, and tree. I know every one of those things are things I don't want to do. But they have to be done. Okay. So
yeah, so nobody called back, huh? That's too bad. We apologize.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's my fault, I guess, because I'm not getting any. Yeah, nobody called back. So to hell with us, Susan.
That's life.
I think that's just the way it apparently is, and I also think that I'm about done myself, I must say. And Suze, how's the betting situation going? And
this is a lot of hard work.
It is.
I worked all day yesterday. Things are being removed today and placed down in the basement. I arranged for movers to actually come in and do this, and then. This is good.
We're remaking my mother's house because she can't travel anymore, so people have to come to her, and we're remaking it into a really nice bed and breakfast, I would say.
But it takes a lot of work and a lot of dragging stuff around, so that's what I'm doing all week. That's every day this week.
Well, yes, but it's a good thing you're doing.
And then it ends in company.
Yeah, and then company comes. Yeah. So that's all good. Yeah, that's all good.
And my dog, and I know nobody cares about any of this, but my dog Ernie sends his regard to your dog Blue. Ernie keeps walking around sniffing and
looking for him.
Yeah.
No. Well, I got to tell you, since Blue seemed to like your dog's food better than his own, I went and got some of your dog's food. And now, of course, my dog doesn't like it. I'm just saying. Okay, that's it. That's all the news. That's even more news than you ever would have.
Than anybody needed to hear.
Yeah. Okay. So is mom's arm okay? Is she feels
everybody's fine. Yeah, she's fine. She's fine. All reactions to all boosters and flu shots are complete. Everybody get their booster, get your flu shot, and vote.
You know what? If you don't get, stay alive so you can vote, for God's sake.
Don't listen to that phony baloney coming out of, you guessed it, Florida. Okay.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks, Suze. Bye. Bye, everybody. See you tomorrow. Okay? Thanks.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.